know, for so many years in this nation, socialism and our freedom was threatened from external forces. During the Cold War, you know, socialism was something that challenged us, communism, from outside of our borders. And I can tell you today, the threat of socialism rises inside the House of Representatives. And it rises among the Democrats who are running for president this year. And we cannot afford to empower them. So we have got to make sure we do not send people back to Washington who are going to vote with the Democrats, who are going to empower the Democrats. That's why I am proud to be here. I'm honored to be here. I'm so excited to do everything I can to make sure that we elect Nicole Malliotakis for the House of Representatives, and that we find more Nicole Malliotakases all over this country so that we can take back the House and so that we can make sure that we save our freedom and our liberty for the next generation. Woo! It's my great honor and pleasure to introduce to all of you somebody you know very well because they're math teachers and her mom and dad are here with us. I think I might be too nervous to talk in front of my math teachers and my mom and dad. It's really a pleasure to be here, and let me turn things over now to Nicole Malliotakis.
So much. It is such an honor to have you here on our little borough of Staten Island, all the way from Wyoming, and she's really doing an amazing job standing up for our principals as the conference chair. So thank you so much, Congresswoman, for being here with us today. I want to first just take just one moment of silence for the 16 million Americans who served our nation in World War II and for their sacrifices. Thank you. I feel we can learn a lot from those Americans, particularly what we can accomplish and what we can fight against, and successfully do so when we work together. And I hope for more of that in our nation. I want to thank both our Richmond County Republican Chairman, Brendan Lantry, and our Kings County Conservative Chairwoman, Fran Bella-Marone, for being here this evening. And of course, my mom and dad are here. But as we sit here, you know, it's about 17 months until the day we will actually vote for the next member of Congress, and that is in 2020 when the president is also up for election. But it's become obvious just in these first few months of this new House that there are many reasons why we need to take back the House in 2020. I'd like to just name a few. Nancy Pelosi, Jerry Nadler, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, Ilhan Omar, and yes, Max Rose. And why? Because the rhetoric has become divisive. Their actions have clearly been disingenuous, particularly, as was said, saying something in the district and then doing something else in Washington, D.C., saying something in the district and saying something else on MSNBC. And quite frankly, their goals are very disturbing. And since assuming the House leadership, they've managed to gum up the work of government with a partisan, cynical mission of blocking and destabilizing everything that our president and our members, like Congresswoman Cheney, are trying to accomplish and putting our nation back on track. Within the ranks, there are those that are promoting the false promises of socialism, something that I know all too well as the daughter of a Cuban refugee. The glaring hate of anti-Semitism, which we're seeing right here in New York City. Record highs, 86% increase over last year in hate crimes, with the majority of those being anti-Semitic crimes. And these are both ideologies that have no place in a nation that believes in both economic and religious freedom. Nearly 60 years ago, my parents came here as very poor immigrants. My father's from Greece, my mother's from Cuba. They had little money, they spoke no English hardly, but they came from different cultures. But they came here with one thing that they did share, that America offered a particular promise an opportunity to achieve whatever you want to as long as you work hard. I'm the product of that American dream. And from an early age, my parents instilled with me a very great work ethic. Their belief in principles and the willingness to fight to preserve them. And in Washington, I will represent the people of Staten Island and Brooklyn, as I have done so in the New York State Assembly, with the dedication. Woo! With the dedication and the passion and the energy that needs and is required to get the job done. You know, I've tried to take a common sense approach to governing. And sometimes in New York City, with the mayor that we have to fight twice as hard, sometimes 3 times as hard, to get what is common sense. But we've been successful in getting bus service restored in this district. We've been successful in restoring cuts, proposed cuts to veterans, to our seniors programs, things that you would never think that government would want to cut. The most vulnerable is what they try to put on the chopping block first. We've been successful in fighting that. We've been successful in bringing some type of ethics reform to Albany, starting with getting rid of Shelley Silver as a speaker, fighting for fair property taxes, for toll relief, and of course, something that has been always near and dear to my heart over the last 7 years, and that is recovery from Hurricane Sandy. And in Washington, I'm going to continue that. You know, we're going to fight to make sure we see through the East Shore seawall. We're going to fight to stop Bill de Blasio's attempt to bring heroin injection centers to our city. We're going to fight to fix our immigration reform. And what we saw this week in Congress was a disgrace. This idea that they want to pass amnesty for over 2 million people, the size of the population of Chicago, and not do anything to fix our border security crisis. That just shows you what their priorities are. $35 billion for amnesty, $0 for border security, immigration reform, or closing the loopholes in our asylum program. And I know the president and the members have said they're willing to work with President Trump to create a pathway for dreamers. They want to address that population, but they want to do so in a common sense and way that protects the American public and protects and secures our borders and fixes what has been a broken immigration system for the last 30 years. And of course, I'm going to fight against higher taxes and burdensome regulations as I have. And you can thank my 3 math teachers who are here for understanding that you can't spend more than you actually take in. Mrs. Lano, Mrs. Maloney, and Mrs. Carter, who I've not seen in 20 years, and I can't believe she's here, but I appreciate the support very, very much. And it shows shows how outspoken I was even then. But really, probably most near and dear to my heart at this moment is pushing back on those members who are trying to move our country more towards socialism. And I feel very passionate about that because my mother is a Cuban refugee. She left the Castro regime in 1959. Socialism, and I'll tell you, socialism is communism light. Okay, let's not use different words and say like progressive is liberal or whatever. It's a disaster, that's what it is. Socialism is communism light, okay? And I'm very passionate about going to Washington and fighting back with my colleague from New York City, Ocasio-Cortez. And I'll tell you, because of the experiences of my mother. I've learned what socialism is through the experiences of my family, what my family still suffers in Cuba, not in a classroom at Boston University. And I think that's a real difference, a real life difference that brings some light to the discussion. But I have to say I am so humbled and honored to have all your support. Many of you supported me in my very first race. And many of you are new friends or friends that supported me during my race for mayor. Although we were not successful in that race for mayor, we did get 67% in this congressional district. And I think that coupled with the fact that this has been a Republican seat since 1981, with just 2 exceptions. One, a decade ago with Mike McMahon, and currently. So I feel very confident with your support, with your help, that we will able to win this seat back for the people of Staten Island and Brooklyn, and we will have one common sense representative in Washington fighting for New York City. I just want to close to once again say how humbled and honored I am to share the stage with you, and I truly appreciate it. I mean, she's an amazing woman, number 3 in leadership. She's the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives today. And it makes me think about why that's even possible. Why is it possible that I could be here standing with her? Because we live in the greatest country in the world. A country that provides an opportunity with no limits. One in which poor immigrants like my parents can come here in search of the American dream, and in one generation, their daughter can join Liz Cheney in the House of Representatives. And that's the American dream that I want to preserve for future generations. And that is why I proudly announced my candidacy for Congress, and that is why I intend to win, to provide that opportunity for millions of others that come after me. Thank you, everyone, for listening.